Behind me is the site where 20 years ago, a devastating explosion shattered Lebanon and changed its political landscape forever. This was the spot where former Prime Minister Rafic Hariri was assassinated on February 14, 2005, in a massive car bomb attack that killed 21 others and injured hundreds. Hariri's assassination marked the beginning of a new, turbulent chapter for Lebanon and the region. Hariri, who enjoyed extensive international and regional alliances, was widely seen as a unifying and visionary leader in post-Civil War Lebanon, though critics argued that his focus on rapid reconstruction came at the expense of rising national debt.
He brought some magic to Lebanon. He brought that sparkle to the country.
He was racing against time. He was not competing with other Lebanese politicians.
Things start moving in the ground. You go everywhere in Lebanon and you see people rebuilding their houses, their apartments, and you see a lot of new buildings arise all over.
It was a turning point in the history of Lebanon that we still, till today, we still feel it.
A UN-led investigation accused members of Hezbollah of orchestrating the assassination, but the group has consistently denied any involvement. Since Hariri's assassination, Hezbollah has grown from a military force into a dominant political player, shaping Lebanon's policies and expanding regionally.
We consider Hezbollah a part of the political life of the country. They are represented in the parliament, and in that context I have talked to him.
But 2 decades later, it appears weaker than ever, battered by its war with Israel, the fall of its Syrian ally Bashar al-Assad, and setbacks to the Iran-backed Axis.
Hezbollah was dealt a big military blow, and I'm sure it's weakened, but we really don't know the extent of its weakness militarily. But politically, they still have influence in the country. You know, the formation of the government showed that they still have influence in the country. Only time will tell whether they learned anything from what happened.
A lot of people have come to the conclusion that because they were defeated in this war, that they have been weakened across the board. I don't think that's the case. They've been weakened in the context of the struggle with Israel because of the loss of deterrence, because of the intelligence penetration of the organization, which is ongoing. They have to deal with that. But in the domestic context here, they're still very strong.
In the lead-up to Hariri's assassination, there were increasing reports about the potential risks he faced for opposing Syria's control over Lebanon. Many Lebanese politicians accused the former Syrian regime of masterminding his killing with Hezbollah's help. One of the accused, Salim Ayyash, was convicted in absentia but was reportedly killed in an Israeli airstrike in Syria last November, while other suspects remain at large or were acquitted.
Salim Ayyash was an operative. The issue is far bigger than Salim Ayyash. This year's 20th commemoration of the assassination of late Prime Minister Rafic Hariri comes with a closure finally. What we didn't get from the Special Tribunal for Lebanon, we got it from a divine closure.
16 Lebanese personalities were assassinated since 2004 until 2013. My own brother was assassinated on the 21st of November 2006.
The problem in Lebanon has always been impunity, and that's why assassinations were repeated since I was born. Even before I was born, we've seen so much bloodshed, so much assassination. It was a way to change things in politics, which just kill someone. And because these political parties were able to get away with all these murders, it kept on going.
The assassination sparked outrage, both locally and internationally, triggering mass protests that demanded an end to Syria's 29-year military presence in Lebanon.
It was the first time that the Muslims and the Christians gathered in the same place after the end of the war in 1990. They got together and they had one goal, one objective, which is the withdrawal of the Syrian troops from Lebanon, and we got them out. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to plan what to do next. A lot of mistakes were made, including accepting the continued presence of Hezbollah as an armed militia in Lebanon. This should have been solved at that time.
The assassination marked a turning point in the Middle East, as it was followed by a wave of assassinations in Lebanon, a war between Hezbollah and Israel in 2006, and escalating tensions between the Iran-backed camp and other regional powers, culminating in the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza, which has reshaped the region.
And for the Iranians, they've just lost a major part of their defense architecture. Because if the Israelis aren't scared of Hezbollah anymore, then that can increase the chances of the Israelis going to attack Iran. From the initial indications, it does look like the Iranians are thinking of trying to rebuild Hezbollah. And key to that, of course, is Syria. So if Syria stabilizes and becomes a functional unitary state at peace, it's going to be much harder for the Iranians to provide war material.
A new Syria that they're talking about now, and the new leadership is talking about in Syria. If they succeed in bringing that Syria together, I think Syria can change the face of our region, the East, the Orient, in our part of the Mediterranean.
In recent weeks, the election of Joseph Aoun as president in Lebanon and appointment of Nawaf Salam as prime minister marked a significant blow to Iran's influence. This shift has paved the way for renewed Arab engagement in the country, including from Saudi Arabia and the UAE, who had previously distanced themselves due to Tehran's sway over Lebanese affairs.
The fall of Assad has changed everything, and that's obviously had ripples across the region. And the Saudis are showing more interest now in Lebanon.
We have a new president who was the chief of the army, who is not part of the political elite, and most political parties did not want to vote for him. They didn't want to see him president. We have also a prime minister who was one of the supreme judges, international judge, who is known to be very decent, very honest. Having non-corrupt politicians in Lebanon is not something that is just a small detail. No, it's something that we have always dreamt of.
Like the wider Middle East, Lebanon now stands at a crossroads. In Beirut, there is cautious optimism for political reform and economic recovery after decades of corruption and mismanagement by its ruling elite.
We are now on the verge of a new Lebanon that is exactly what we have fought for all our life, which is an independent Lebanon, a sovereign Lebanon, a Lebanon free.
Lebanon is definitely entering a new era, but I'm personally cautiously optimistic about it. We've lived generational disappointments, huge material and human losses, brain drain, missed opportunities, time wasted, corruption, you name it. So the disintegration of the Lebanese state. Are Joseph Aoun and Nawaf Salam capable in a cabinet that is a year and 2 months prior to elections to change all of this? And mind you, the balance of power in the country hasn't changed in the parliament yet. Let's wait for the results of the upcoming elections to see what will happen.
The road ahead is uncertain, but hope remains. The spirit of the Lebanese people, just like the city, Beirut, is unbreakable. 2 decades after Rafic Hariri's assassination, the echoes of that fateful day still shape the country, but so too does the enduring hope of its people.